A week ago, I posted a video to let people ask some questions for me to answer. This video is the answer part. I figured this may help me with a writer's block, and hey, it did! A new real video is already written and recorded, I just need to edit it together. If you are new here and somehow got this video recommended, go check out the rest of the channel. The game in the background is Against the Storm, which is a roguelike city builder. Good fun, but I don't have enough to say about it to make a full video. Without further ado, what are your newest obsessions that you recommend people to delve into? Dungeon Meshi grabbed me by the heart, and I devoured the whole manga in 2 sittings, which also inspired the video script I'm currently working on. Before that, the Helk anime grabbed my attention due to some interesting plot hooks scattered throughout the early chapters, and I got into the manga, and I'm very happy to say it's a beautiful Trojan horse of a fantasy story. The anime production values are below the ground, but the voice actors did breathe a lot of life into a lot of my favorite moments, so I'm glad it exists, even if I would recommend reading over watching. Pluto was a fantastic adaptation, and I'm firmly an Naoki Urasawa fan by now. I really need to make something about his manga someday. Games-wise, I really got into Vampire Survivor and later Holocure in the past few months, as they both served me as a fidget toy while I listened to podcasts or long video essays and such. Most other things in that space I made videos on, but I don't think anything has given me brand new terminal obsessions since I got into Project Moon. I do have some strong contenders on the backlog though, and I do intend to dive right into them as soon as I can. Music-wise, it's not truly new, but the Disco Elysium video gave me a pretext to listen back to the whole Einstürzende New Button discography, and I do love that band dearly. No further notes. That, or what were the stories you read as a kid that shaped your tastes today? The unironic answer to that is Naruto. Not in so much when it comes to shaping my tastes directly, but because life is a chaotic stream of coincidences and my childhood infatuation with that series is the most clear-cut example of it I can remember. Because my cousin got me into Naruto by lending me some manga volumes, I looked up the series online. On one forum, man, remember fora? Some guy had a link in his description to a play-by-post forum set in that world, where I met one of my best friends to this day, who then dragged me to the world of persistent world role-playing servers in Neverwinter Nights, which is where I met my wife, and you can probably guess how large of an influence someone I spent my entire adult life living with can have on me. My entire life would be different if not for a manga I dropped like halfway through its story. Sorry for the lack of anything creative, but I've enjoyed your content ever since I found you in that Limbus video, book references one. Keep up the good work and take care of yourself. Hey, I appreciate it, and I hope I will keep bringing you enjoyment for years to come. Top 5 Polish soups. Żurek, which is a sour rice soup. Barszcz, so I guess borscht in English. Won't say no to a good tomato soup, even if I haven't made it in years. Rosu, or basically pimped up chicken bouillon soup, is a classic for a reason. Recently I've taken notes from Italians, thanks Ragusia, and just started dumping a lot of leafy greens and whole bottle of cheap white wine into mine. And for 5th place, I guess ogórkowa, which is a sour soup made from pickles, though specifically it's lacto-fermented pickles that stew in their own juices in the jar. Not sure how available they are in the West, if anyone wants to try their hand at making that. Yo, it's me, Roland, from Library of Ruina on the Nintendo Switch. 10 games on Steam by Playtime. Sadly, I don't know how to bit crush my voice to join in on the meme. As for the games, let's see. Civilization 4, Tabletop Simulator, Crusader Kings 2, Civilization 5, Fallout New Vegas, Baldur's Gate 3, Payday 2, Limbus Company, Total Warhammer 2, Stellaris. You'd think I would be better at strategy games considering how much of my life I spent being bad at them. Why are Lilims so cute and pretty? And do you think more of them should appear in the sequel? Cyberbooty gets everyone acting unwise, and I think with Valhalla Lilim specifically, there is a very interesting design mix between having an idealized human form, as they are meant to mix in with society, while also very clearly standing out from the rest of the characters. And yeah, if Nirvana ever happens, I definitely would like to see new characters exploring the concept from a new angle. Are you an anime fan? If yes, what are your favorite anime? The anime to live action ratio of what I watch is like 5:1, so I guess it's safe to say I am. As for favorites, my personal favorite is definitely Kaiji, because that perpetually broke fuck up is just like me for real. A series I think anyone should watch is Legend of Galactic Heroes, because it's genuinely a great watch from start to finish and I adore it. And to round it off to a top 10, in no particular order, Revolutionary Girl Utena, Mob Psycho 100, Vinland Saga, Shouwagen Roku Rakugo Shinju, Serial Experiments Lane, JoJo as a whole, Black Lagoon, Spice and Wolf. Do you drink water regularly? Don't forget to hydrate. If soda counts as water, then yes. Sadly, I have a child's sense of taste when it comes to beverages. Hi, new subscriber from your incredible disco vid. I was wondering about how you mentioned about misconceptions on the story from more Western sources. Which do you think is the biggest one? Hi, glad to have you here. Misconceptions is a bit of a misnomer, as I don't think I ever came across a video in which I violently disagreed with something on principle, or where I thought they got it completely wrong due to coming from a wrong set of preconceptions. Some of them even addressed some misconceptions floating around in the ether, that the game is nihilistic, depressing, and/or dark, which I appreciate. The particular beef I wanted to articulate in that opening is twofold. On a textual level, I just find them dry. Yes, the entire world is presented in a Marxist lens, and the status quo of capitalism espousing incremental change towards a better world is bad. But what comes after that? How do people in the world of the game deal with it? Who and why views the world in different ways? What were the downfalls of the commune, and what future will the characters pave the way to? How does the literal story of murder mystery relate to the history presented to you? And what does all of that have to do with you, personally? There is this tip regarding essay writing I came across several times, that you should extract a small part of what you want to discuss and focus on that, lest the sheer scale of the endeavor overwhelm you. And that is generally good advice when related to the real world and its impossible myriad of complexities, but this is a work of fiction. It was already distilled into an art form that can be taken in by itself. It doesn't need to be contracted further, it needs to be expanded on. That is the role of the audience participation with art. Videos are just a form of doing that publicly. Culturally, I think that the Western perspective of being in a position of power can carry implicit bias that paints those analyses as well. Not to imply that my average American viewer is a CEO capable of affecting the world at large with their whims, but even the fact that English is pretty much lingua franca carries weight. If that is your first language, anything outside of it is a niche thing you need to find out about, and there is a large chance it will be translated for your convenience. I mean, hell, Disco itself was written primarily in English, despite the lead writers and artists being Estonian. Compound that with the fact that both the UK and US never suffered a complete identity-shattering failure on a societal level. I don't think either of these things are wrong per se, it's just to say that Anglophones take a lot of privilege that comes with that for granted. It's easy to think you can change the world when you can, at least in theory, work your way into public position in one of, if not the, most influential country on the face of the earth. If you live anywhere less influential, you gotta contend with the fact that you can barely conceive of a way to better your little patch of the world. To draw an example, have you ever seen a political LARPer online declare that they are Catholic, only to get a pissy fit about whatever the Pope said because how dare some old dude an ocean away tell them what is right and wrong? That sort of cosmic horror is a default for a large chunk of the world. An American doesn't need to give a flying fuck about Polish politics. I have to know about American politics, even if in broad strokes, to even have an inkling of how the tide may turn over here. It's the normal country, the goal we will be taught to reach as a society by politicians year after year, even if one glance at news actually written in English will elicit nothing but bitter laughter. I just felt that kind of perspective on life to be more fitting for Revachol at large, and it was largely missing from videos published thus far. It's not a misconception or a failing of any kind, it's just a matter of perspective. It's like only ever seeing a painting photographed from the same angle. What is a failing is all the videos who call themselves analyses and provide you with a dry recap, but that's not a language-specific kind of idiocy. Do you actually take interest in reading books like Lila Gandhi's and say Dr. Nkrumah's neo-colonialism theory? I remember you used the former as an example for Cyberpunk, but was it just in passing, or do such works fascinate you? Fragments of Gandhi's post-colonial theory were assigned reading for a course on contemporary philosophy at my university, and they stuck in my mind, which is what spawned that observation and commentary in the Cyberpunk video. That said, I have not gone out of my way to read more on the topic, aside from skimming the Stanford Encyclopedia at 3 AM. If I ever were to broach the subject in any future video in depth, I would have to do further research to not feel like a buffoon, but this has not happened so far. I would be willing to listen about the topic, but wouldn't make a good conversation partner on it, if that makes sense. Are you gonna do any analysis on Limbus Company anytime soon? I learned a lot about the stuff on the LC/Ruina full analysis video, thanks to you. Hey, thanks for watching, and I appreciate it. I do plan to make a video on Limbus, covering the prelude and up to Canto 3 so far, to discuss the parallels to the actual works of literature and maybe some context behind their authors and how they influence the writing in Limbus as well. I hope to get down to it sometime before summer. Canto 4 will need to wait because it's a whole history lesson about early 20th century writers from Korea, and I will really need to sit down and read to give it justice. Thoughts on Klocuch? I just never found him funny. I watched half a video on something years ago and clicked off. Any specific expectations, predictions or concerns regarding Bachelor's route in Pato 2 now that we know even more about it? I try and not set up expectations for anything, cause I feel like wanting a good thing can make you blind to another cool thing that comes out of the left field. But if anyone from IPL is listening, please give us a dedicated feature to shit-talk patients in the margins of medical notes. It feels on brand for The Bachelor. Do you have a favorite philosopher? Why? First that comes to mind is probably Michel Foucault. He's dead, so I don't have to give a shit about that stupid petition to lower the age of consent, and I just really like his approach of viewing everything as a power structure, the system of education, the notion of confession, a household. It's not particularly helpful and gives you no answers, but it is eye-opening. Like, yeah, if people accused of witchcraft were gonna get killed either way, why was it of such paramount importance to make them confess to their sins? Why is the notion of morality so often tied to the existence of a higher power? Why the difference in perception of similar acts based on status? Aside from him, I professed my adoration of Hannah Arendt a few times, because with how fucked up the world can be, her writing is an anchor reminding you how incredibly banal, simple and preventable of a thing evil really is. How uncomplex even the vilest atrocity is at its source. There are no grand imposing monsters with unrecognizably twisted souls, just petty bureaucrats like Eichmann. 5 obscure manga. I don't know how accurate my perception of obscure is, so let's just go with stuff that doesn't have an anime adaptation. Strongest Man Kurosawa by Nobuyuki Fukumoto. Short, sweet tale of a man who feels his entire life went past him and how that is not true at all. Have you caught up on Chainsaw Man Part 2 yet? If so, what are your thoughts? I've been reading it ongoing since the first chapter. I like it a lot. Asa is a wonderful new protagonist and I love her. I will need to reread it in full once it's done to appreciate it as much as I did for Part 1 or Fire Punch though. 20 pages a week really isn't enough to get my whole brain going up like a flare and appreciating all the details. Any video game genres you wanted to try but just never got around to it? Fighting games and rhythm games, I suppose? It's not that I never tried them, but I always bounce off without getting in-depth into them, because being under pressure in either of them makes me panic and I end up only appreciating them casually without exploring everything they have to offer. When will you play Xenogears and Xenosaga? Those are literally made for you. Yeah, emulating Xenogears has been on my list for a while now. I need to get around to it someday for sure. Favorite video game voice actor/actress? Laura Bailey is QnA in Nier, and her voice lives rent-free in my heart. As for the guys, Greg Chun as Kaname Date in AI The Somnium Files was fantastic, same for his role as Nanba in Yakuza 7. Any genres you dedicate yourself to more if you had more time for it? If I had infinite time, or at least no fear of death, I would play every single RPG there is, no matter how shitty, just to say I did. What is your goal for this year? Channel-wise, there are a few games I want to get around to talking about, and I'd like at least one idea to captivate me enough to release an hour-plus video again. There isn't really any concrete plan, outside of keeping on with actively thinking about anything I experience, and hopefully getting this whole project to become self-sustainable so I never have to look at a job application in my life again, and eventually achieving immortality. Life-wise, gonna keep squirreling funds so that hopefully I can get a home of my own so I never have to look at a landlord again. From where did you get the idea on your avatar? My buddy Bart was bored one day, before this channel was even an idea, and was doing meme redraws, and I, of course, told him to make one of Jill. When I decided to make a video about Disco Elysium in 2020 out of boredom, I just slapped it on there due to having no ideas for a visual identity, and now it's stuck there because replacing it would feel like a betrayal. What are your most hated and most beloved things in characters? I don't hate many things, but if there's one thing that will make me cold on a story as a whole, it's a comedic relief that exists solely as a punchline and not even other characters in the story treat them like a human being. It can happen to other archetypes as well, but I just noticed it the most with stories that try to make a joke and just shit the floor in the process. As for beloved, I once said that my favorite trope is the power of friendship but applied to characters who are at best morally questionable, and I think that applies here. I just like watching absolutely vile people actually care for someone with the sentiment not being one-sided. What are the games you'd call a work of art? Be it aesthetics, music, art style, or anything else that comes to mind. Love your content, by the way, keep up the amazing work. If we take work of art as a quality that something can possess, then all of them, games are inherently art. If we take it as a subjective statement about things that move me with their individual elements as you mentioned, and to omit games I already made videos on, Sunless Sea struck me with how evocative its succinct writing is. Near Gestalt / Replicant's music can move me to tears with a few piano notes to this day. And the most visually beautiful game ever made is probably Persona 5. And thank you, I appreciate it. Swiftly recommend any soundtrack of any media, any classical composer, and any music album from the 90s please, would love to check what you come up with. Near Gestalt's OST, Tchaikovsky, The Downward Spiral by Nine Inch Nails. Tchaikovsky probably doesn't count as classical as far as actual nomenclature of musical ages is concerned, but I can never remember them and my brain categorizes it as anything older than radio. I don't really have a question right now, but I got your channel recommended from YouTube, so a few of your videos, will most likely watch all of them eventually, and I find topics you're covering close to my interests and content created great. Keep up the good work, bud, I appreciate what you're doing a lot. Hey, I appreciate the message. This is mostly why I like doing these things regularly. With the number crunching hellscape that is YouTube, I like seeing actual people who actually watch my stuff for a moment. Hope my future work will continue to resonate with you. Favorite and least favorite story genres. Favorite probably should go to horror, considering how much I like my media just getting plain uncomfortable to make me feel something. Least favorite is probably slice of life. I don't dislike it, but I need to be in a very specific mood to be receptive to stories of nothing much happening, and I don't usually seek them out by myself. Favorite skills in Disco Elysium. Electrochemistry is just too real for me to not appreciate it. I also like conceptualization, making up the dumbest shit on the spot to make stuff poetic, and shivers is just critical to having a full experience, I think. If you had to describe yourself using a single song, which would it be? Depends on the mood, but since it has to be a single song for all of me, I would probably say Who's Ready for Tomorrow by Radboy / IBDY, as it has been playing in my head a lot for the past year or so. Thanks, Cyberpunk. Your favorite games in genres that you don't like otherwise. I'm not big into shooters, but Ultra Kill makes me hyped as fuck with every single second. If Hakita and team stick the landing on the final 2 layers, it will absolutely be an all-time classic that people will talk about 50 years from now. It arguably already is, but, you know, no reason to rest on laurels just yet. Why did I write the tongue twister there? I've been typing and backspacing and watching my cursor blink for nearly 30 minutes. I think your writer's block is contagious. I'm terribly sorry. I will do a better job of stopping the spread in the future. Thank you for trying though. Found you through your Limbus Company book catalog, and since I still have the Proj Moon brain rot, I gotta ask, who's your favorite sinners? Heathcliff has a solid number 1 spot, both for his personality so far and for saving my ass from having to learn how to play the game with the ArcCorp ID. And I sincerely hope Ryoshu gets something that gets under her sardonic skin soon. If you want more questions, who's your fave Sephiroth and or reception from Ruina? The city and everything else from Proj Moon is easily my favorite setting, so your vids about them are always so enjoyable to watch and rewatch. Hey, glad to hear it. Fave Sephiroth is probably Bina, because I gotta side with my fellow horrible philosopher. As for a reception, everything about Black Silence is playing in my head on loop, but I also love the endpoint of Jan's story. Can you name a fictional food or dubiously edible item that you would love to try even once? A real funny question considering the next video topic? I would probably say the more mystical healing items from Shin Megami Tensei. Do you swallow a life stone or soma? And how the hell do they taste if yes? Have you watched or read Pet Labor? Not yet, but it's on the list of things I want to get into someday. Would you care/notice if a game or other media had all or most of its characters be left-handed? As a southpaw myself, I definitely would notice, though I would probably think it is a bit weird. It would feel like the animations/footage are mirrored or something because you just assume most characters would be right-handed. Have you ever wanted to write a book, novel, comic, story, etc. of your own? I did and I still do. There are numerous ideas I either scrapped or repurposed for something else. One day I will get something long-form out there, hopefully. Most likely a book or visual novel because I do not have artistic merits to do anything but write. Tea or coffee? Both. Neither. I won't refuse anyone offering me either, but I make coffee or tea for myself like once every other month, so I guess neither. Any free general life advice or things to think about? Thanks. Vitamin D can be crucial to your mental well-being, and you can supplement it if you're not getting enough time in the sun for whatever reason. Cooking is a basic life skill that can save you. Not knife skills, plate presentation or whatever, but just basic confidence on how to use the stuff you have in your kitchen to get yourself through the day, especially if money is tight. Leftovers like meat and vegetable scraps can be frozen and then just thrown into a pot of water to make stock, and baby, you got a stew going. What made you decide to start making YouTube videos? And do you have any long-term goals for this channel? Boredom and just the will to ramble about things in a way that will reach people mostly? Nobody reads, I know I don't, so reading the rambling out loud was the logical step. As for the long-term goals, I want to keep doing this as long as I have ideas and would love to do this full-time. Definitely want to have the time and energy to do longer videos, considering they seem to have found the most audience. Do you know if these were asked last time, but what's your favorite game? What game you have the most nostalgia for? And what game has got your favorite vibe? Favorite game of all time is probably Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, considering how many times I've replayed the bloody thing. It's also the one with my favorite vibe, as even with the stuff that aged like milk in it, the ambience and feeling of LA by night is just immaculate. As for the game I have the most nostalgia for, I guess Metal Gear Solid 1 to 3. I forget a lot of things as time goes on, but I never forget how rad these games were. Though it is not really feasible in this day and age of too big to fail corporate nonsense, what do you think a gaming industry collapse would look like? What are the losses and benefits associated with it? And were it to allow for a new frontier, what would your idealistic outcome of such a collapse of the games industry be? I mean, we're watching it happen right now. Several thousands of people lose their jobs as the people responsible for the unsustainable shit get away scot-free, same as with any other industry crash or economic recession. There are no benefits to sickness and rot. A healthy industry would foster talent and grow organically, rather than constantly put all of its eggs in one basket. The idealistic outcome is someone tying their CEO to rail tracks, either literally or through legislation, to prevent the slash and burn approach to management that perpetuates all these issues. What was your favorite piece of media you enjoyed in 2023? Not necessarily what got released then, but something you experienced and really liked. For example, I played Ghost Trick for the first time last year and that shit was banging. Fuck yeah, Ghost Trick rules. I played the PC re-release as well and enjoyed it as much as I did over a decade ago. But outside of it, there was a good bit of stuff I enjoyed. Hi-Fi Rush is my indisputable game of the year, even with absolute titans of quality like Baldur's Gate 3 and RE4 Remake coming out the same year. For anime, I finally watched Millennium Actress and it was great as well. For TV, the first 2 seasons of Peaky Blinders were rad, the third one just got melodramatic and silly in my opinion. I was also in New York and saw Hadestown on Broadway, it ruled. Will you still make videos about Limbus Company or has that ship sailed? I'm still sour about the bullshit surrounding what happened, but I will. I still love the game and PM works at large, I just hope the incident burnt Kim Ji-hoon enough to rethink his approach to management, especially given how the artist for Leviathan also came out to speak about why it stopped being a comic at one point. I have no questions for you, but I love your content, keep it up. Hey, no problem. Thank you for reaching out and I do hope to keep it up. What's your favorite cuisine of your country? Also, hi! Hiya mate, long time no see. Favorite Polish cuisine is a nebulous thing, but I'll tell you what, my wife is from Silesia, and visiting in-laws always means getting to eat rolada, which is like a meat cut with mustard wrapped around chopped pickles, with a side of potato dumplings and red cabbage salad, and I always look forward to it. Never making it myself though, too much work. Now that the Fate Stay Night visual novel is getting an official global translation, do you plan to shield for any of the Type Moon works that have come out recently? Or is there a separate QnA series you'd recommend to viewers? I will definitely be more annoying about screaming at people to read the VN, because I hate the entire where should I start with fate discussion, because the answer is the visual novel, and then do whatever because they're either adaptations or expansions on that core story and its ideas. I haven't really been up to date with Type 1 stuff since the Heavensfield movies, so not much I can add here. As for a QnA series to recommend, I don't really think it needs recommendation, but JoJo is the first thing that comes to my mind. It's just an endless barrage of creativity for good and ill, and it's incredibly interesting to just go through it and never know what the next few episodes/chapters are gonna be. It's like pizza. Even when it's bad, it's still pretty good. Why would I question submission? Question everything, that way you know you got the answers to those things, rather than not knowing that there are even questions to be had. It's important to remember that there is a distinction between questioning and opposing, though. The answer to asking, am I happy with things right now, can be a simple yes, and never be afraid to question again if the answer turns out to be wrong. Have you ever eaten falafel? What's your opinion? Falafel is the go-to meat substitute in kebab places over here, and I tried it a few times as well as once in Turkey to compare. It's alright, but not something I'll order if I have other options. What's your plans for this year, not only on YouTube channel, but in life in general, if allowed to ask? Are you scared of / looking forward to some specific date? Starting from the second question, I'm gonna be unemployed sometime this year. Company got sold out and new bosses decided to get rid of the Polish office. I'm sticking around until the end because the severance package negotiated for us on the sale is juicy, and I'm not the kind of person to say no to free money. I just wish we got a date for it already so I can actually work towards finding something new. Though hey, if the channel was enough to not even look for a job, I wouldn't say no to that. As for my plans, nothing for the channel is set in stone because I can't predict what I consider interesting enough to make videos going forward, but I do intend to keep making stuff as often as I can, ideally at least once a month. As for life in general, man, I kinda ran out of those. I've lived longer than I ever assumed I would, and I'm happily married. Owning a house would be nice, but a lot of factors regarding that are outside of my control, so it's hard to call that a plan. And to be a filthy capitalist for a second, I would like to find myself in a position where money is enough of a non-issue to be able to comfortably reach out and help others with whatever I get left. What's one thing you want to see more of in your media? I guess the one way I can put it is sincerity. Sometimes it's painfully obvious when a work is done by the numbers, a checking of plot points on the list, or going by good writing practices with absolutely nothing to say for itself. I want media to grab me and say, hey, we're gonna talk about why interpolation of animation fucking sucks, or something along those lines. I'm tuning in to experience emotions, not what the authors think will elicit emotions. Żabka, aka Frog Shop, or Biedronka, aka Ladybug Shop. Well, we're comparing a convenience store to large discount stores here, but I can tell you I visit Biedronka rarely, if at all, and I'm inside a Żabka like once a day to grab a snack or something. So I guess we're frog supremacists on the channel. Which game would you like to convert into virtual reality VR and immerse yourself in it? For example, playing Disco Elysium, where you hear all your skills arguing with each other from one ear to the other instead of sitting and reading them one after another. Man, experiencing disco in immersive VR would be weird, considering I don't have an internal voice of my own. I think I'd probably say Journey, to experience the sand under my feet and heat of the desert as I view vistas from a first-person perspective. Aside from that, maybe the Fallen London series, particularly the titular browser game itself. I'd like to walk the labyrinthine streets and taste how the hell red honey tastes. Alright, that's gonna be it. Thanks once again to everyone who chimed in, it's always nice to see people interacting with what I do. I'll see you in the next one.